pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This is a part of the meeting that if you're not on the agenda, you have something you want to bring up, talk about, inform us of, now's the time to do that. We can't act on it, but we can take it under advisement and talk about it at a later date, so.
Okay. So I addressed the council last week about ARPA money, and I thought I should also address you guys with my due diligence as a journalist. As I'm sure you are aware, you have over $1 million in ARPA funding left. And my first question to you all is, has there been talks of a joint meeting between you and the council?
Yes, there is. Our attorney and the council's attorney has been advised to set up a meeting between the two of us, and it would be a special meeting, and it would be an open meeting to the public to discuss just that, so.
And my follow-up question is, because you guys sign into agreements and council holds the purse strings, is what would happen if they say no to the money?
All right, here's where it gets in the weeds. When we got the CARES Act money years ago, there was a lot of stipulation about how to accept that money into the county. The General Assembly, some attorneys, the Attorney General's office, and some other people got together and said, you can go ahead, and I think also the State Board of Accounts says, you can send the money straight to the general fund, and then you can write checks out of there, and you don't have to go through every time there was a transaction, you had to have a big hoopla and make ordinances and everything else. Mm-hmm. So the second time when the RPA money came, commissioners around the state were creating ordinances that said that only the commissioners would be spending the money. They would be the only one that would approve that the money is spent wherever it's spent. And the federal government at the same time stated, because there's 50 states, 52 states got the money, that at that point, follow the same procedure you do for all appropriations, and every state's different. So in our state, we would say what we're going to spend it on. It would go to the council, and the council would appropriate the money. In this situation, in the argument that we have had with our council since the beginning of this ARPA money, is that we believe that we do have the total authority and the only authority to spend the money. The council believes that once we approve for money to be spent, that it goes to them, and then they have another vote to vote whether we get it or we don't get it, which I find that it's not the case. That it is a pass-through through the council with a simple appropriation, and they don't believe that, and I'll go to my grave believing that I'm right. So so with that, that's where hence the big argument comes between the 7 councilmen and the 3 commissioners, is that they don't understand that it's a pass-through, or they don't believe that it is a pass-through, and they still believe that at the end they have a vote that says we're going to stop it because we don't want them to buy XYZ, equipment. So, you guys want to add anything to that?
Well, other than the council cannot decide where the money is spent. They can tell us no, that, we're not going to let you spend the money on this, but they cannot tell us where to spend the money. And just to be honest and throw everything out there, they're trying to steer the cart in that direction. They're trying to make us decide what to spend it on, which is not the council's job.
Well, technically, and this has happened, not just in Scott County, it happens in a lot of counties, that the council believes that they have some authority, that over the years they have snuck a little bit more authority, and a little bit more authority, a little bit more authority, and all of a sudden they decide they're a commissioner. And there's an issue that we have actually, me personally, have asked the state legislature to clarify that there's a difference between a commissioner and a councilman. In some counties, the council only meets one time a year. They meet to create a budget, and that's it. They don't meet another time. I mean, some meet less than what ours meet. Some probably meet more, but their only job is to create a budget for each department and reappropriate or additional appropriations for departments when they have to, find additional monies or something else happens. Their job's not to buy a bulldozer, a tractor, or buy property or anything else. Their job is strictly to budgets and additional appropriations. But, it seems like, and I'm not gonna get in the weeds of why I think that is, but, to answer your question is, the only people that decide that, where that money's spent is the three of us. It is a pass-through to them. They don't believe that, so they believe that once we vote on whatever, and let me give you an example. And this has nothing to do with the ARPA money. This has something to do with whatever. If a department head comes in here and says, I wanna buy a piece of equipment, it starts right here. This commissioner's agreed to say, yes, you know, we're gonna buy it. So what you do at that time is you go out and you advertise for that piece of equipment. You get quotes, bids, depending on how much the money is. If it's over $150,000, it has to be sealed bids. That comes back to us. We open them right here in this room. We vote, and sometimes we don't have to vote because we take the lowest bid, you know, and that's what it is. We've decided right here that we're gonna buy this X amount of piece of equipment. When it goes to the council, there is no other policy, plans, or anything else for them. It's a yes or no question. I mean, you either appropriate the money or you don't appropriate the money, and there isn't any room for them to say, well, we want a blue one, we want a 6-wheel piece of equipment. They don't have, there is nothing in their guidelines, in their responsibilities that gives them any avenue of making another comment about it. And I had the same argument years ago when I was a lone commissioner, and we finally got all three, or the other two commissioners to agree to it. I pushed for the resource officers in all the schools. They didn't want it. I mean, and I had to almost embarrass them to say, why don't you want it? So anyway, we get to the council meeting, and we're sitting in the council meeting, and our county attorney at the time, not this one, or the one that's been here for 40 years, leans over and tells me, because they're arguing about how many cars they're gonna buy, how many people they're gonna put in schools, and he leans over and goes, it's not their job. Their job is to give you the money or not give you the money. It's not for them there's no other avenue for them to you know, change what you've already voted on. This is the executive board of this county. Like it or not, we make the decisions. So anyway, I don't know what they're gonna do, but all three commissioners here have a thought of where the rest of the money's gonna go. I mean, it's not a surprise where we wanna spend it. And it should be a shock to them where we're wanting to spend it. So we are gonna have that meeting, and it is gonna be a public meeting, so everybody that has a gripe one way or the other can be there and say whatever they want, but that's where we're at.
Alright, I have one more question, because this was brought up at the council meeting. Lindy had said that they at the time didn't know any information, the insurance, the stuff, like that sort of stuff, longevity of the cost. Have you guys put in?
Are you talking about the interlocal agreement? The interlocal agreement, and our attorney and Jefferson County's attorney wrote the interlocal
Yes.
agreement. Jefferson County their council passed it 7-0 the other night. on Tuesday night, at the same time our council was meeting, all of that, and Kevin can attest to, because Kevin was part of the input of how all that was gonna work out. All those are in the, MOU, I think it is, or interlocal agreement. I mean, all that information's in there. I mean, about maintenance, about who's gonna store it. And also, to clarify, there's room in there for, amendments to say, hey, now that we're doing this, we need to change this a little bit or do something different. So that it's not a rock solid, it is rock solid, but it has a leeway to be able to fluctuate, to work for their concern and work for our concern, so.
It's a flexible agreement.
Yeah, and also there's a buyout. There's not a buyout, there's a get out. We can get out at any time, they can get out at any time. So we're not locked in for, 20 years in something that, but I will say this, and I listened to the Jefferson County's council meeting. They were very supportive of it. They understand, because Jefferson County chip seals 40 miles of road every year. We're talking about chip sealing what, 10, 15? Those guys have been doing it for years. I just drove to Versailles the other day. Heaven forbid, that anybody drive on a state highway that's been chip sealed, but it was chip sealed all the way to Versailles. It's the era that we live in right now is that state roads are gonna be chip sealed, county roads are gonna be chip sealed. If you wanna drive through potholes, and I said this in the last commission meeting, because I got kind of teed about it. If the community that wants to get on Facebook and beat the crap out of the commissioners and the county highway and everything else about chip sealing versus paving, if you wanna pave every one of your roads, let's talk about raising your taxes. We'll just double your taxes right now, and you can have the prettiest roads you ever wanna see. But that's how it's gonna happen in this county, because we can't afford to go down that pilot hole. We can't do it, we don't have the money. And I don't know that too many communities have that money, so, unless you're Hamilton County, they don't know what chip seal is.
But it's our responsibility to provide the taxpayers with the best road we can, with the cheapest amount of money that we have, and that's available. It's the most economical way to improve the riding surface and extend the life cycles of these investments we've already made. I've had people that's talked to me about it, but I'm a hard line on chip seal, because I understand it and I know what we get, I know the product we're getting out of it. And there's gonna be other things out there from a preservation standpoint that we'll look at. Chip seal's not the all to be all, but it's a very good economical start to preservation. We're looking at other things all the time, and Kevin's out there researching, and from a state highway standpoint, we're all researching this stuff and trying to do the best we can. We just know we can't pave all the roads. The money's just not there. It won't be there. And so we're going to do the best we can with what we got. And but I also want to say, I think it's fair to say that we want to work with the council. That's our number one goal with everything we do here. But obviously, I think everybody's got an idea, but from Mike's point from earlier, we are the executive staff. We talk to departments. We understand what their needs are. And so we're trying to, help everybody as much as we can. But we also know the big ticket areas where we can make those biggest impacts, and they're on our roads. So that's where we are right now.
One thing I will say before we move on is that when we first talked about doing chip seal, it was us doing it alone. And we were in the ballpark of, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, $780,000 for the 3 pieces of equipment that we have to buy to do that.
Correct.
Since then, we've had some conversations with the highway department supervisor from Jefferson County at a meeting. We also talked with the commissioners from Jefferson County and said, hey, we'd like to save some money here. And quite honestly, I know I'm getting ready to leave my post here, but in the future, I hope we have more, agreements with surrounding counties for other equipment and other services, because, they're in the same boat, even though, you know, some seem to have all the money in the world, but they still like to enter in agreements where they can save a dollar too, because they're conservatives and they're trying to save the taxpayers as much as possible. But we went from $780,000 buying 3 pieces of equipment to entering an agreement that costs nothing. I mean, and our buy-in to the agreement is about $410,000. So we go from almost 800,000 to half of that to save Scott County and to preserve our roads and have people driving on a road that's not full of potholes. So, hopefully that answers some of your questions, but.
There's a
I'd
big
like that.
misconception out there, Roberto, so people say, well, that road wasn't that bad. Well, that's the point.
That's why I
we're
did, right?
chip sealing, right, Kevin? I mean, that's,
You know.
we're trying to extend the life
Well-
of that road for another 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years. But we're trying to catch that before it does go down the rabbit hole of being bad.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
because we
people-
can't keep paving, you know, Slab Road, Boatman Road, you know, our main roads in this county. We cannot keep paving them and then letting all the little side roads just fall apart. So we have to take and we have to chip seal these main roads so that we can turn around and pave these side roads to give everybody the roads, because everybody pays this tax, not just the people who live on Boatman, not just the people who live on Slab, you know, or Bogartis or whatever, you know, it's, and that's the only way to get there, is
Well, we missed
preserve
the
those
window,
roads.
Randy. I mean, if you talk about some of those roads and we wait, and maybe we do an inch and a half, you know, mill and fill from there, but if we're letting these roads, you know, get past their life cycle, now we're into 2 inches, 2.5 inches, maybe a full reconstruct of the road. Now we've got a stretch of road that we can barely afford.
Yeah.
And that's all we're going to do for the year. So it doesn't make good sense. We have found a way to try to partner with somebody. They understand their budgets as well. I mean, so they're looking for a partner. It just makes good sense, and we can obviously, you know, take care of some of these roads that we got before we have to spend a whole lot of money on them. So that's the goal here, is preservation.
I will, take some heat off Kevin a little bit here. A lot of people were complaining about some of the areas that were chip sealed in this year, I'll say. Those were not Scott County Highway Department chip sealing. That was contracted chip sealers, so, you know, that's not our guys doing it. And I will say, because I spent a lot of time in Jefferson County, their roads are decent roads. I mean, they know how to do it. I mean, and part of this deal is, you know, just that they're coming to help us chip seal. We're going to help them chip seal. I mean, they're going to, so we're gonna do what they're doing. I mean, so, the other part of that is, when you drive down a state road or a county road, because we've been doing it for the last 4 or so years, when you see little black squiggly things all over the place, that's where these guys are going out there and filling cracks in the road so that road doesn't split apart and we're not replacing the whole road. So this is another tool, you know, just like putting wax on your car. It's, you know, it's another step to preserve the car, preserve the road, and, you know, the 3 of us wholeheartedly buy into this is what we're gonna do, and I know the answer to that, or one of the questions you have is, are we gonna send the money back? What people don't know is that, again, we have an ordinance that the commissioners are the ones that determine. We have till December 31st to, say where we're gonna spend the money, where we're gonna allocate the money. We have till 2026, the end of 2026, to spend the money. So by the end of this year, on the 31st at midnight, we have to say where we're spending it. And, if, I would hope to not think that someone's pride or bullheadedness or stubbornness or whatever is going to send, 400,000 or whatever back to the federal government when, we could use it. So, all right,
I got one more thing to say.
this is it. No, I'm just joking.
On the subject of chip seal, and I know there's a lot of people in this county who do not like chip seal. All right, and this is probably not the time when you're running for election to say something like this, but I'm just gonna throw it out there anyway, because it's the plain truth. We, I believe, are the only county, maybe Harrison County, do they chip seal? Is Harrison?
Yes.
Do they? Okay, and they've got gambling
They do everything, they got a lot of money.
So they're
Yeah.
using, some different fog seal products. And, I'll be honest with you, the main reason they're not chip sealing is sure not because of their engineering, it's because of, they were told not to because of the budget from their political party.
Yeah,
Well, I know when I
So-
walked their facility, they had chip seal.
Now, they did stand tall and do 140 miles in 1 year, so.
so at some point, and I know that we all like to think we know everything, but at some point, we've gotta realize that if every county in the state is chip sealing, except for us, maybe we are wrong. So that's why we gotta return back to chip seal. So that's all I got.
All right, that answer all your questions? All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have something that's not on the agenda?
You stay home next time.
All right, girls?
Did you get the letter that I sent over?
Did you send an email?
It came last minute, but there should be a printed copy at your, there should be one with your,
To answer your question, I know I did.
You didn't, okay. Amanda couldn't be here tonight, so Missy and myself came. So, the Corrections Department is funded by the Indiana Department of Corrections grant each year. And for the past 3 calendar years, we've received the same amount, which is $385,216. We have 8 full-time positions. So for the past, we pay 2 full-time positions and partially from another full-time position out of our PI funds. I can explain the formula that the Department of Corrections is using too as to why we got the same amount all 3 years. So it goes by per capita population and not by the clients that we serve. So I went here to show you guys like the increase in clients that we're serving. And I'm here to ask for $75,000 in opioid settlement money to help fund one of these positions.
I think you guys came once before, didn't you? She came once and asked if, maybe it wasn't opioid she was asking for, maybe it was ARPA, but I think she came once before and asked for to help fund a position, and some of it was,
Yes.
the cost of living was going up, but the grant money was still staying the same.
Oh, we contracted with Thrive to pay a portion of this same position, and now that was only 1 year, right, 1 year. And so, they are in talks about changing this formula of grant money. We talked to our grant director, at the state, and he said they were in legislation to try to attempt to change this formula, so it wouldn't go by the county population. We're hopeful that it would go by the clientele that we serve.
And would this be, obviously a 1 year to each year, you would have to come back and ask?
We're just gonna ask for 1 year until we see that the formula's changed or if any of the needs change.
Okay. Good. Randy?
I'd be fine with it.
Can we use the, unrestricted?
Certainly could use unrestricted.
Can we use restricted?
That's
where the bulk
where I
money
don't.
is.
So I get that the opening of the letter is that you guys are asking, how do we qualify for these funds, basically? There is a list that's available on the Attorney General's website that has a list of qualifying uses. And I don't know that, like in my main practice, criminal defense attorney, I understand what IRS is, I understand what the pretrial assessments are, I understand what community corrections does. In a very general sense. Now, I don't know the day-to-day. And I don't know if there's things that I am just not familiar with that are outside of what I need to know for my practice or should know. I mean, is there any type of treatment services for opioid use disorder that the community corrections, this specific position, engages in?
So yes, I added that on there at the end, because well, a rough estimate is probably 80% of our clients have SUD, substance use disorder, and the pretrial case manager, I can't speak on like the detention center or the jail, how many people that they have arrested weekly that the pretrial case manager does the assessments for. But this employee does help assist clients once they're getting released to place them in, whether it's outpatient treatment, inpatient treatment, or a recovery home, if that helps you, Zach.
It does. What I would ask you to do is to go back and specifically expand on which provisions within Schedule A or B in the Attorney General's list of approved uses you believe this position qualifies for, if you're asking for restricted funds, which is the bulk funds, basically. The majority of the funds are in a restricted category. Because I get that that's something that you would do, but is it something that they do 10%, 20%? Because a lot of it looks to be describing pretrial, IRS assessments and monitoring for pretrial placement in home detention or day reporting programs. That doesn't necessarily by itself meet the requirements. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So,
If Thrive was giving them money, Thrive would have probably been using some of the money they got from,
no,
you don't think?
they better not.
'Cause I know, but I mean, Thrive doesn't create any money, they go for grants and opioid money as well, so.
Yeah, but they may not be using this specific restricted category. And I just wanna go back
Oh.
and say that
I get that.
we were supposed to be getting reports from Thrive under
Yeah, we did.
the agreements that we entered into, and we did not get them.
Yeah.
So I guess the short answer, I don't know, that would be,
Okay.
again, not saying it doesn't qualify, not saying no, but just,
So,
we have required every single nonprofit, department to explain in detail using this list why they qualify before we allocate funds from the restricted category. So we're just gonna require the exact same thing.
I'm gonna ask a question, is this for calendar year 2025?
It is.
So it's something that you're looking to help support next year?
Starting in January.
But the position is paid for calendar year 24?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's where I'm at.
Do we know as of today's date, how much is in restricted versus
I can go
unrestricted?
look I don't have it right now.
I thought it was, last I thought it
Can't
was
think of it.
around 700 and something.
I don't
We,
know. Do you want me to go look real quick?
no. But anyway, what's your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I'll just say,
Because I think we need to
there's.
we need to table and have them do some more
There's a
research.
specific piece in here that talks about provide evidence-based treatment recovery support for persons with OUD or SUD disorders within and transitioning out of the criminal justice system. Okay, so
Right.
clearly, and we're talking about incarcerated populations, which under Indiana code, home detention is gonna be effectively equivalent to an incarcerated status, at least for purposes of sentencing. I would just like you guys to kind of outline what, if you're partnered with IRACs to do these things, like what factually do you do? What do they do? They contact IRAX, give, the client's information to them, set them up with a peer recovery coach. This is something that's done, daily.
Well, you're doing good.
Just those kind of things, like explain what you do on a daily basis.
Can you find out if other counties are they using their opioid money for that position? And I guess the other thing I wanna ask you is, if it's not 100% that this person does this, can we split it? Can we do a 25-75?
I just kinda wanna see like, what are the daily tasks and responsibilities, what are the qualifying, duties that they perform on a daily basis? And then I think we just have to make, an evidence-based assessment of, do they qualify, not qualify, are some of the things they do qualify, and if some of them do, what does that look like? And, maybe can we use, because I believe it's not a separate, or will be receiving a separate distribution under a separate settlement, so, it's possible that we would have more money in the unrestricted category that you might be able to allocate, like, a portion of the right amount.
And that's where I'm getting at, maybe it's some of it restricted, some of it's unrestricted, so, but we need to know how much weight is on, the opioid side of it, so if you can.
And really, this is not, me saying that I don't think that community corrections does any of these things. It's just when we annually report how we spent the money,
I don't want to be one of your patients or one of your clients.
we just wanna make sure that we're giving clear answers about why we spent the money, there's been a lot of questions of, can we spend it on, like law enforcement? Right, but the issue there is, there's some questions about, is it law enforcement training to deal with, opioid use, or is it just like equipment? That's gonna be very different in terms of what type of funding.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, and there's another caveat that I think Indiana is one of those states that does allow us to, I can't remember what the exact term is, but it's, we're supposed to be, I think that the focus is on expanding services, right? Using this money. So if you can talk to us about why this money is gonna expand the services that you offer, that's probably another piece, because we don't just wanna be funneling money from these settlements into already accrued costs, unless we can demonstrate that that's, necessary for whatever reason, like, a specific loss associated in the community to a specific department related to, responding to these issues.
Get your homework?
Yeah, it was a lot of an assignment.
The PDF document is available on public website, and it is very extensive. It lists in detail Schedule A uses, which are preferred, and Schedule B uses, which are allowed but not preferred.
Again, if other counties are using that fund in that way, you might reach out to them and say, how did you determine to the commissioners that you were able to receive that money? And it might be some information that you could easily bring back to us, and we say, sure, okay. We see where it does work. I'm for one, I think we do it, but we need to make sure that we can, do it properly, so.
And again, we always take like
I was gonna ask
this,
to table it, because I haven't had time to think about it.
we always just take like basically the statement of the department or the entity and make it part of, our resolution, why we've done it this way. If it's with a private entity, we usually enter into some kind of agreement with them to ensure that we're gonna be able to track, and they will report to us how it's used. If it's a governmental entity, we mainly just wanna make sure that we keep, the justification with the resolution.
Yeah, and we report to the state, Amanda does some monthly, and then we do a very large one at the end of the year, and you guys can come and see that whenever you would like to.
But it's not about that, I mean, it's just making sure that, you know, this isn't, I mean, federal money, but it's in a nationwide lawsuit, so I mean, and in that settlement, it says that it has, that's why there's two different funds. It has to be you know, spent in a certain way, and they check on that, and I don't wanna be in trouble for not doing it.
We have a multi-district, you know, mediated settlement agreements, but then there's also the statutory code that's been adopted by the legislature, the use of the funds and how it's tracked and how it's reported. And then the Attorney General has been authorized to, you know, propose qualified uses basically. And there's like presumptive, you know, justification within this document. It doesn't say that you can't have another, you know, good or qualified use, but you know, that would be looked at as not necessarily per se qualified. We'd have to understand how it is gonna function within addressing the opioid pandemic.
Alright.
Am I allowed to send you a rough draft?
You can send me
Okay.
everything. And
We prefer that, cause
I
I know it's alright.
and it helps to get those, you know, in advance of, obviously, so I can look at it and put everything together.
Perfect, thank you.
Alright,
Thank you, guys.
appreciate it, thank you. Hey, the door's not up over there, is it?
It is not.
Alright, well, there was a fluke with,
So,
the person that's supposed to be doing it, so,
turn
we are putting a new door in there, so.
Yeah, I think Randy is trying to.
Yeah, I'm talking to Jason Vaughn, we gotta widen it out to 43 inches.
Okay.
I'm not,
That's not
You
being
just don't
done,
want me to
so.
touch it.
Okay.
Anyway, alright, we'll talk about it.
Thank you for understanding.
He's no longer.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, that's fine. I know his brother's not doing it on the side, but Don told me he was.
Yeah, not only,
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
it was a last minute development, I guess.
EMA 911 burn ban, so, everybody been watching Facebook, listening to WNPI, Scott County's on a countywide burn ban. That means no burning whatsoever, so trying to save the fire departments a little bit.
There was a proclamation sent over today.
Yeah.
You got it, but it was late, so I don't know if you want to.
We just need to sign it.
Okay.
We've already, the commissioners have already done this a couple days ago. Actually, yeah, a couple days ago, and we're now signing the document. So it's already been sent to the state, state's already approved it, so. Ratification. So. Move along. Kevin? Put that back there.
No. I'll explain to you what this is, and then I'll probably run back to the shop and get the contract. So I don't tell you nothing. So what I'm bringing to you is I have 3 bridges I'd like to look at on getting the designs done, so we can kind of be shelf ready for CCMG. I believe these 3 have a good fit. First one you're looking at is 16 over Little Ox Road. You can kind of see the problems there and the misalignments, the problems it has going on.
So is this a full takeout and replace?
It's a full takeout and replacement. I'm looking at that for year 26.
That's Big Ox.
Big ox.
Or Little Ox.
Sorry. Yeah, Little Ox. The next page is, Bridge 56, on Plymouth Road. It's a small structure, or small bridge that has the reservoir kind of on the other side of it there, Timmins Reservoir. The structure right here is the same thing, it's just a replacement, no really approach work or anything, just a replacement of the bridge. We kinda got that one at 27. And, Bridge 60 is on Slate Cut Road. This one right here, it gets, it isn't necessarily real high on our priority list, but it gets a lot of heavy traffic, so I think it probably ought to be bumped up, you know, a little higher. It gets a lot of grain trucks and such through there. You can kind of flip over to their priority list and kind of see, this is our latest bridge inspections, and you can kind of compare where the numbers was and what the recommendations we had on there. I think if we go with this plan right here, these 3 small bridges plus Bridge 28 that we have in federal aid, so, you know, that goes from year 26 to year 30, yeah, that could allow us to have 4 bridge replacements. I think that would be a pretty good accomplishment, by running these bridges through CCMG would give us a chance to do that.
Do we have anything that is, I hate to say this, but I mean, just dangerously falling in or anything? We don't have anything that's in that timeline or that.
I think we got those over the last, I mean, none of them ever hit shutdown, of course, because they get inspected, but, I think we got the ones that were probably on the biggest hot list, which would be Getty Road, because it was done. And then, of course, Bridge 015, the approaches especially were done. So those are the 2, you know, the big ones. You know, I'll kind of,
Flag Road approach, you can really work on that.
Slide Road needs work, but, the bridge is solid. So you can look like, on these priority lists, and we go off those, but like, they ain't always the gospel. Like Bridge 45, that's the one leading into the Thomastown Bottoms, that little short one on this side. I think it's just because it's undersized beams and the load rating, but, you know, that's not anything we're going to spend money on right now.
That's one of the logs always get caught up in there.
Yeah, that one. And then you got Thomastown Bottoms is in here, that old bridge, and that's one again, probably you guys will have to address that whenever it fails inspection of, do you want to just do away with it because it's kind of a bridge to nowhere? So, you know, these ain't all correct. I mean, they're put in and we just kind of adjust them where it makes sense. But yeah, I think if we utilize our CCMG and get these in line, it'll work out pretty good. Of course, you know, we'll have, this is set where there'll be a notice to proceed before any work is done on any of these bridges, so we can look at them yearly still yet after we sign a design contracts and say, you know, maybe we need to push this back a year, maybe we can bring this one up a year, you know, those options will be there. Same way with how maybe some of the surveying or the geo work they need done, maybe they'll come down and do all 3 at the same time and it'll be a better price. We can do it in phases and give it a, you know, go from there. But I believe these are the 3 plus 28, you know, over the next 5 years would be a pretty good accomplishment. The back page right there, that's on Boatman Road. Maybe you've seen this picture before, but this is kind of example of why we restructured a little bit and some of the things we're gonna try to repair. So you can see this bridge was built in 1982, so that makes it 42 years old, which is, it's not old for a bridge. I mean, we ought to be getting, you know, 75 plus years out of it. And the main problem on this bridge is erosion and we've got 6 piles exposed on the south bend, scour progressing at the southeast corner, and then,
So you're
scour on
saying-
the south bend.
You're saying on that right-hand picture that all those, I guess I'm gonna call them columns or, you know.
Piles, yeah.
Are they, should they all be, you know, solid in with,
When that was built, that concrete was on the ground. So, you know, the bridge pilings get drove, I don't know, they're however deep solid bedrock is, they get drove all the way down and then a footer's formed on top of them, and so they should have ground underneath it.
And then it creates scour.
And it creates, yeah.
Top.
So, like I said, a lot of this bridge right here, and they got like recommended replacement loosely at 29. But, I mean, obviously, I think with some work, this bridge is kicked down the road 25
so
years
what's the
possibly, you
fixture,
know?
riprap?
Yeah, so,
And,
Yeah, riprap and, possibly flowable fill and some products like that to stop the scouring and stop the erosions and, because we sure gotta get, you think Bridge 105 was built in 1980, I believe, so we only got like 40-something years out of that.
yeah, that was, to me, this one doesn't have a center pile.
It doesn't, it's a better design for sure.
The other one had that
But still,
center
if you look at it, we're losing the same thing,
Yeah,
we're losing our approach.
Yeah,
So when you lose the approach, it don't matter how good the bridge is, you know, you got problems.
but this could be a rehab project.
Oh, 100%,
You know,
yeah, and this is
Much
what,
like a chip seal for roads, this bridge kind of falls into, you know,
they can't see under that bridge.
addressing scour, addressing the joints.
yeah, exactly. I think that it all goes hand in hand. We looked at these 3 bridges here, plus our federal aid job in year 30. So, in order to do these repairs, we need to utilize our funding towards this, because, you know, my guys and our equipment, we're not bridge builders, we know that, right? But, you know, we can fix roads.
But you can have some engineers tell you how to,
But we can fix this and we can handle these things right here, a lot of this in-house, and kick this down the road. You know, it's a big deal if we put this bridge out 20 years, it's largely.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it ain't no different than, our chip seal work, you know, with our 20 miles within this year, 140 years life cycle expansion on those 20 miles, so that's huge. It starts kicking it all down the road, and this is the same way. So, those are the 3 bridges that we're looking at, and, so I'll explain it, and I'm gonna have to go back and get my papers, because I must have got them out on my desk. So, I have 4 small structures on, CCMG for the 2025 year. One being Kinderhook Road, which, from the best we can tell, maybe there was a bridge structure there once upon a time by looking at the footings. And then there was a railroad car put in, and then there's gabion baskets on each side. So it's way past its life cycle. It's starting to collapse in, and the road's starting to get a dip in it, so it's definitely on the hot list. We have one on Boatman Road. It's just another small structure. It's just all the concrete and rebar is starting to crack, and the footers are starting to dip, so it's done. Boatman Road, that one. I think we're outside that boat.
aren't you on,
I'll have to pull it up, but I'm blank.
Zion?
No,
Here's the one on Bolton at.
thank you for coming. It is the first one when you turn off Leo, I'm sorry.
Coming back to town or going?
Going towards,
South.
Church, yeah, going towards Forest Street, going south. Okay. This way. Okay, so Kinderhook Road, one I told you about the railroad car underneath it. Reeves Road, you probably won't be able to miss that one. It's one that has the 2 head walls that are like right on the edge of the pavement. We'll replace that one. the footers are all bad on it and washed out, plus it's more of a, it's almost more of a safety thing too for me now because of the big concrete walls right there. And, we got South Taylor, we got a structure on that. It's not a huge structure, but it'll probably be $150,000 structure. And then Bowman Road, that first one.
These
So,
are the ones you're wanting to do the grant for in 2025.
in 2025, so, you know, we'll have to see where these come in at, but, they'll probably be, I'm sure they'll eat up $800,000 or $900,000, worth of that money. So just going by the assumption that we get $1.5 million or something close to it this year. I have about 20 miles of chip seal that I would probably say would be our best money spent. We did 20 miles this year for $525,000. So I think we could almost do a repeat. We done 5 structures in 20 miles. So if we came back in and done 20 miles and 4 structures is what we have. I think that would be a pretty good spot to put us in. I'm gonna forward this to you if you don't care to print it off. That might be the easiest, right?
It'd be nice to get rid of some of those old structures that's got those concrete head walls. I mean, there's really nothing that holds those up. I mean,
Well, we cut them off.
you can,
Yeah, we got rid of those.
there's,
That would be
they're dangerous.
they're dangerous. And this one is one of them that's really bad because it sticks up about yay high, you know, about bumper height. And, the footers are all bad and it's scouring and everything else too, but it's also would be a nice safety one to get out of the county. But probably the next meeting I could bring you back, I have it wrote down, but bring you back to 20 miles that I'm thinking on the road wise. This is just kind of getting this through. And then we'll pay with our local money. I think that would,
I was gonna tell you, I sent you an email today that, there's a Miss Reese. She's the one that's doing the community crossing stuff up there.
Camrys.
Did you need me to print some?
Yeah, could you care to print those out, cause I had them, I left them there. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty good, put us in a pretty good spot, and, I mean, you know, if we had this in our, kinda like our 5 years for our bridges, it really puts us in over the next 5 years with the 3 that we've already done over the last 3 years, it puts you in a great spot, honestly, to look at what else you need to do on the bigger side of things down the road, start slabs and stuff. Yeah, it gets you out a long ways. I mean, I think we'll have to look, I think your slabs are probably maybe your next federal or something, but, you know, they're a ways down the road. But this puts you in pretty good shape with our small ones.
So how's the, while she's printing that off, how's the, your new crews setting up?
They're doing good, so we're just now getting organized with it. We got a couple guys to hire in, so we're going through that process right now. So, you know, we'll be 4th. Basically, the way we end up structuring is we went 4 to the north of 56. And, I'm hoping, we're 3 right now, we're hoping to get to 4 with, in the next year on south of 56. South has about 30 more miles, 35 more miles. So my north crew's gonna take care of all the gravel roads in the county. Done a couple things, it kind of gets guys, a group of guys that are experienced on it to do it. And plus it's less equipment hustle because, you know, these group of guys are gonna take care of these roads. So that's how we broke it up, and then, you know, we have our bridge crew, which is gonna have bridge and mowing and right of way, which Steve's taking care of, so we'll have 2 guys mowing. I'll bring that in, we got it set up where we're gonna try to do 5-foot mowbacks a year. Then, you know, you can never brush cut enough, so that can go on all the time, but the actual mowbacks is, we're shooting for 5 mowbacks, which I think we gotta put a a limit on that, and I got it broke down because the hours we're putting on the machines will really get up, because you could almost just never stop if you wanted to, you know, and I don't think that's
It's
feasible.
like mowing at home.
It is, yeah. Let's see, I think, no, that's it. This is for the bridges. And this is for the small structures.
I was gonna
This is your
ask,
contract.
Yeah,
this,
design contract.
some of these bridges, do we?
Right,
we need
this
to
one you
acquire
emailed,
I think some of them we will.
this one you emailed,
Sorry.
you emailed us this.
Yeah, I emailed them. This one I emailed too.
This one, we found with utilities, I can see that.
Yeah, yeah, they'll have some challenges for sure.
I looked through them already.
So what do you need from us, just approval for both of these?
Yeah, disapproval for the for design contracts, and, basically, you know, what that's doing is to apply for CCMG, I gotta be ready, so that allows us to kinda have one shelf ready and ready to go. So,
Alright,
gets us ahead of the game just a touch.
I'll make a motion to use SIPCON as our,
I know
design
some fees
contract.
were a little high, but I guess we could. You know, see a little bit.
Randy's made a motion to enter into contract with Civicon on, small structures and also on bridge 16, 56, and 60. So, Craig,
I say,
Craig seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. What else you got?
Alright, the next thing's gonna be on my wash bay, and that is the insulation quotes. So I have Foreman Insulation, local contractor, for 17,200, 2 inches of closed cell foam on the walls and on the roof. And then I have Louisville Insulation, and they are $19,982.90. And then I got my other one that, I got one back and forth for 2 weeks and he never showed up. I got my due diligence for 3, but I don't know how they stay in, guy stays in business.
I don't either, that's who did mine.
I never could track him down.
Who was it? Who was it?
Viral Heat, yeah,
Yeah, that's who did my sunroom.
yeah, we went back and forth for a long time and never could get
Alright.
together.
Well, snooze, you lose.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Alright, one quote was for, I guess it's Total Concepts.
Actually, I think they changed their name, it was Foreman up at the top.
Oh, it's foaming.
Yeah, but it's the same guys.
For $17,200, and the other one's for Louisville Insulation for $19,982.90. So, as we typically do, stay with the lowest bid.
So this next thing
What else you
is, I have 2 bids in the same bill. I couldn't get the 3rd bid, but, I'm sorry, quote. We're looking at a walk behind, saw for the road, and I have this on a budget to purchase. It is a Husqvarna 20-inch walk behind FS 400. So Northern Tool has it for $2,477.77. Jacoby has it for $2,950. And then I have contractors, never did get burned, I'm sorry.
One of them was $2,000 difference.
No, $2,477.77. And then Jacoby was $2,950.
So the Northern Tool are the ones that put out the
The best bid, or the best quote.
catalogs and stuff.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I was hoping Jacoby, I reached out to 2 other vendors, local guys I've used for other equipment, and they never did. I never could get them to send me anything back. They keep saying they would, and they never do. But they don't really have it's not their thing. They're heavy equipment guys, and, I was hoping Jacoby would get it because when you need parts, when you
Well,
need it.
and that's where I'm going with, you've got a quote off of a commercial catalog, I mean.
Online catalog, that's what I could purchase it for that right there and go pick it up.
I wouldn't be for that, I'd be for who we could have service it and
I'm
get
about
parts
that, I'm
and
about
everything
that
else.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
$200
Yeah, and plus they're
Right,
right on the
well
road, so.
and then all I gotta do is send them a text and I have the cards. So, yeah, that's,
I'll entertain a motion on this, on the closed cell installation for the 17,200 for foam insulation.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg.
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous, so. And I don't know what the numbers are here, but we'll make a motion here for this too, but I know, I will tell the public, we always go with the lowest bids, but there are circumstances that kind of deviates that sometimes, and this is a prime example that we have a bid that will support it, service it, get parts from. If you buy something off a catalog, you don't know when you're gonna get a part, or,
You can go right to their counter.
Yeah.
talk to somebody.
it's definitely worth the money.
You don't buy equipment unless you need it, and when you do need it, and it's down, you gotta get it fixed, and
So,
hard to do
kinda
that in a catalog.
and
Maybe
plus they're not local, but they're local.
walk you through, we have a road saw that goes in front of our skid loader that just doesn't work for our applications, very well. So, we're gonna, a long time ago, I told you we was gonna put that in auction. I did, it didn't bring one I thought it ought to bring, so we'll revisit that again, but they have an option now where you can take a video of it running, you can take a video of it working, and I thought we would do that, then put it back on the auction line and see if we could get more money out of it, cause I think it only brought like 6,000 or 7,000. I thought it ought to go for 10,000 or 12,000, so that's why we just held on it.
This is the berries here.
It'll work better on a county application, I think.
All right, this is, I'll entertain a motion to go with the Jacoby, quote here for $2,950, for is it a Husqvarna?
Yes.
A Husqvarna walk-behind concrete, or a road saw.
I'll make that motion, go with Jacoby.
Randy makes a motion to accept the bid from Jacoby. Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. We'll say, cause you're out of room, one quote was $200 cheaper, but it was a catalog type of quote versus Jacoby where we can walk and get parts and everything else, so we went for different.
It was less than,
It was 200 more.
well, but the total price is less than 50,000.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah.
Kinda, how much was that? I'm not again for that road side on Jacoby.
It's definitely.
It is.
Under our, under 10 in our local ordinance.
Yeah.
2,950.
The other one doesn't have a service or any type of part department. So,
Now, this one is just something we talked about a few weeks ago, and you can do what you want, because I don't have money. But, that right there is the brush cutter that we had on front of the skid loader that we rented from Jacoby, that we done, the Tri-Hawk and Health Department and all that with. There's a quote on the very back page of the price. I got three people responded on this one. That one there is, I don't know if you've seen the trees or the stuff that it cut at Tri-Hawk, but they were taller than the skid loader like twice. So it done a good job, but, like I said,
how big around?
I don't know, it probably says in there, I mean, we was cutting 2 inches, I mean, that's a heavy duty one,
And you said you don't have the money.
No, well, no. Here's what I think. So it's cutting the health department, it's cutting Tri-Hawk, and it's cutting the dump. I don't know, there'll be some different funding, maybe it ought to be able to come out of. I'm not saying we wouldn't use it. I mean, we could use it too on the roads and stuff, but it seems like it's getting used.
So we have the
somewhere else.
schedule.
We got the skid loader running, absolutely, yeah.
If we can find a way to fund it, I'm 100% for this.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got so many spots, and I've got
That's
enough, I need to
cheap,
talk to you
right
about.
Huh.
That's our cheapest one here.
We would
Yeah.
need to go
Yeah.
talk to those different departments about, what their funding for equipment looks like. And then you're probably gonna have to ask to transfer funds. from
Well,
those line items into the highway department line.
Oh, sure.
and I don't know where you guys, cause like the Tri-Hawk's just a vacant property, we try to knock down every once in a while,
well,
but
we're getting some,
we can, it's not a big hurry, I mean, it's not like we can.
I get that, but I'm not ready to make a decision tonight, but I think that's a good idea. It's where, I mean, like at John Jones Building, that property back there, we, the county owns it. We usually pay to have it mowed. I know I mean, I think,
We rented one and knocked these all down this year, but renting's not cheap on those, I'm gonna
No.
say it's like $1,200 or $1,300 for the 5 days, to rent it, so they're not cheap.
And we're using it, I mean, a few times a year, in different locations, so, I mean.
What I like about it is, I don't wanna run like our new mower out through that stuff, you're gonna bring like 4 flat tires and stuff like that.
Sure.
But it's on track machine, you ain't gotta worry about it getting stabbed, it's just made for it, basically.
And
And-
plus, the places we don't do it, Jonathan Abbott's been helping us out, so,
Yeah.
I mean, we could desperately use that piece of equipment.
let's table it right now, cause there might be some funding coming
Yeah.
someplace, but.
Yeah, that's fine. I know, I think it was last summer or whatever, we had it and knocked something down, maybe they knocked the health department down. And we knocked the dump down with it too, because that's a lot of acre. I don't know if you always want to keep it knocked down, but there's a lot of acres out there. And
If
it's,
I'm not mistaken, I think it's 35 or something.
That's what I was thinking, there's
I had actually
about
Nathan,
25 acres that you mow
yeah,
on it.
Nathan did the
We let
majority of
grow
it.
up.
It's
No.
some pretty sketchy land in there too. There's a lot of ruts and flips and hits. He's like, I was
I'd be
glad I was
nervous.
in a skid loader more than a tractor, really.
Yeah, I think,
So,
so anyway,
okay, well, that's just what
Alright,
it is.
That's
so.
Evel Knievel mowing out there.
It is, yeah.
so.
Fair
Alright,
enough.
is that it?
Thank you, guys.
Nazarene Church, update, resolution.
have to leave, but I'd like to leave with those.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. See you, Bob. We have a, did you?
It's right here.
Go for it.
Did we get you a wheelchair? That's the resolution. All right. What's the resolution?
I'll just, I can outline generally.
I couldn't even
You're
tell.
So, commissioners had previously, I think upon request of the sheriff's department, I think that's maybe where it started, but I know that we kind of talked about it generally even before that. Wanted to look into renovating, fixing up the church location to be designated as kind of a area that could be used by programs that offer the services that are definitely qualified under the restricted opioid settlements remediation uses. And so like IRACs, and I think the sheriff came to a meeting and specifically asked about a location that he could potentially use for meetings and things for incarcerated individuals that was kind of, they could secure but would still be an area that they would use outside of the jail to kind of free up some space. So I think we've kind of settled on using that location, but in order to even get to a place where we could have, somebody look at what the cost of a full remodel or redesign would be, we need to deal with an emergency situation associated with a roof that was not structurally sound, not safe to occupy and was, deteriorating. And I think that there was some concern that, potentially as the weather gets worse, that the roof could kick in. So, there was a projected cost associated with just the roof repair, which looked to be $24,200, I think, was the total estimated cost. So again, understanding that the intended plan here is to use that space for those services, and based on outside counsel's review of approved uses, we are allowed to use these for brick and mortar issues as long as it's going to facilitate the services and programs that are in the Attorney General's designations. This is clearly one of those, so I drafted the resolution to kind of explain why we're allocating the money for that purpose and why it's going to come from the restricted category.
Okay, questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to, well, let me just read a little bit of it, so, well, I'm not gonna read it. Zach just explained it, and it's 3 pages, so. But anyway, we have a resolution, 2024 R18, approving certain funds for opioid abatement distribution. This would actually be for that said property, and at this point, just for the roof, to be, fixed, which it already has been, so. So I'll entertain a motion to accept resolution number 2024 R18.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. This day, what is it,
The 18th.
18th. This 18th day. 3-0.
But I think the idea would be that, like, even, I didn't list it specifically, but like, even, if Nick needed to use the space for some kind of training or something, maybe community corrections, needed it to work on some kind of transition program, that
Yeah.
space would be available kind of on request or reservation, for groups that, work in, on those issues.
All right, DAV driver for the day, veteran vehicle.
So I've done some checking, and with that, our day vehicles, we can hire somebody through the county to drive that. I know initially we was looking for volunteers, to drive people back and forth to the VA hospital, but to be honest, it's not working. Nobody's stepped up to use it. The thing sits there. We didn't have on it for the grant, and it's time, I think, we need to put that thing to use. And we do have veterans, in the area that, are getting up there in years. Their spouses don't feel comfortable driving through Louisville, obviously, for good reason. I'm 55 and I drive pretty fast, and sometimes I don't feel comfortable driving through Louisville. But I would like us to take, and set $50,000 aside, for 2 years, as a part-time person to drive, our vets back and forth to Louisville a few times a week, and, use opioid, unrestricted funds for that.
And I think part of well, that's the way I understand it, of course this was going on before I came in, but some of the hang up on a lot of the driver stuff was restrictions that they had placed on drivers, right?
You had to have a COVID shot,
Yeah.
you had to be vaccinated, and there's a lot of vets that said they weren't gonna get vaccinated. And then the other part was, and it's still the other part that is still in effect is that you have to have a federal background check, so, and some people just don't wanna do that, so, my question would be, I'm assuming this is a part-time position you're talking about?
Yes.
So how would you schedule that? Because most of the time, the doctors at the VA are scheduling appointments for, these guys, and we really don't know when they're going to go and when they're not.
Well, the VA hospital works a little differently. They will schedule their, appointments around the, individual
Transportation.
in order to get transportation. If we lived in a bigger area, they actually pay for, the VA hospital actually pays Uber to drive patients back and forth, and they work with Uber to try to facilitate that. So, you know, we just unfortunately don't work where there's Uber driver, we don't live where there's Uber drivers. And I would like us to do like the 2 year to see where it goes from there, to see what happens in 2 years.
So with the part-time person or persons, I'm assuming, because it's gonna be different than a lot of the positions that we hire for in accounting, are we doing some sort of, background check to make sure these people are in good standards in their driving?
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and we're not bringing on a high-risk driver that's had multiple speeding tickets and.
Well, we'll have to put it in the paper, you know, interview, we'll be interviewing, you know, and I think,
But again, how do you, I mean, so we're going to say part-time, you're gonna work certain days, you're gonna work every day, certain hours, or how are you gonna do it? And then I guess that would be where the patient VA, the VA patients, I guess I should say, would have to know, hey, we have drivers on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or Tuesday, Thursdays, or whatever is. And then you gotta make sure that part-time person stays underneath the part-time hours, so.
yes, and it's gonna be an all-day thing. You cannot do it in 4 hours, because, I mean, you're gonna be taking people down, and they're gonna be with their doctor and their treatments, and and you wouldn't be sitting there. So you would come back and get more people, take them down, and then
Okay.
it would be an all 8-hour day.
So we
3 days a
need to
week.
make sure that we have, I guess if we're gonna do this, we need to make sure that there's enough money, in the unrestricted. I don't know what's in there now, I know, I just got an email,
I
I'm
didn't
sure you
think that
guys
was
did
that
too, that we just got another settlement from another company, and that was for 37,000 or something like that for
But I don't know what's
unrestricted.
coming in.
Do what?
I said, I don't know what's coming in.
It was in the
$37,000.
$30,000 range.
Okay.
That's for unrestricted.
I would just say that,
Plus 25.
I mean, I think having a 2-year, like, kind of plan is a good idea. I would just say that, it would be enough that you just allocate money a year at a time, because that's gonna be the requirement anyways.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need a job description. It seems like they'd probably work under the county, Veterans Services, department. We would need to check whether they have a part-time line item.
Don't think they, well, yes, they do.
I think they do.
Yes, they do, because the ones that we hired part-time.
And then we would need to, get that job description approved by Wagner Irwin Schilling. You know, develop your criteria, for, applying for the position. We would advertise it, and then you could hire for it. probably starting, I don't know if it would be next year or this year, I'm not sure what your plan would be, but I think you could, you know, if it needed to be mid-year start, you know, allocate enough funds from, and I think unrestricted would clearly qualify, so.
Alright, I'm gonna throw a figure out here, cause I figured if you did 3 days a week at 24 hours for the week, that's 96 hours for the month, 1,152 hours for the year, that's $17 an hour, that's $19,584, so if you wanna figure out, we'll pay more, or you wanna work more?
Can't work much more.
I was gonna say, is it 27 or 28 hours part-time?
I believe that the cutoff is about it's
32.
It's 32?
It's 32, like, on a regular basis at that, I believe it's
Over the 6 weeks,
That's
average.
30.
I think ours is over 6 week average.
Well, after that point, you have to begin allocating, you know, benefits, and, you know, the cost will dramatically increase, so, I would just say you can't go much more than,
I would like to pay a little bit more because I want us to be able to be choosy about who we have driving. I want, you know, you want it to be somebody who's not disgruntled or not liking the job, or, you know.
Allocated fuel budget for it, so.
Well, the fuel budget I believe comes from the VA. Cause I think some of the fuel, I'd have to go back and look at that requirement, but I think the VA pays for insurance and pays for fuel and the maintenance on it, so.
Yeah, that's covered.
So, I think we need to figure out, like Zach said, if you wanted to do it, we need to get Erwin Shealy to write a scope of work, and then we need to get the council to approve some sort of money. I don't care what it is, I mean, but there's some steps to get to where we need to be, so.
I mean, we need to adjust or amend the salary ordinance.
Or we could just put it in the new salary ordinance if you wanna begin it at
Yeah.
the beginning of
You
2025.
could do that if you're gonna begin in 2025. You probably, the person who should write the job description would be the director of the VA Services Department, because she's probably gonna know, you know, what days, how many hours per day are the most, like, trafficked, basically.
Well, I mean, I think they're gonna just naturally assume they need to contact the VA hospital, or Veterans Services, so it would just make perfect sense to have her take care of that.
Yeah.
Alright, so at this point, can you reach out to Erwin Shealy, see if they can write some sort of job description?
Well, I mean, are you guys, I guess we need to vote, we agree on that.
Well, but we need to see what it's gonna be. I mean, we vote, I mean, we don't know, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think that you can allocate the funds yet, so I would
Right.
just, if you're gonna vote, just
Guess you
vote
have
on
consensus that we do
the
it.
plan to proceed with, you know, requesting Wagner or Chili, with the help of the director of the department, prepare a, job description to submit to you all, and proceed with that part. If that's all approved, we can take it to council for amendment or addition to the salary ordinance.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to proceed to talk to Wagner, Erwin, and Shealy.
Okay, Randy's made a motion to proceed with hiring a part-time person for the VA driver, and also to reach out to Erwin Shealy to create a like I say, job description.
So,
Second it, I'll make that unanimous, so. All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Yep. Area plan invoice, this is a $400 invoice for a training session for our area plan director. So I will entertain a motion if somebody doesn't have any questions or comments about it. So I'll entertain a motion to pay the $400.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion, Greg.
I'll say,
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. Eva Par generator maintenance contract,
I don't think I have that invoice with me.
everybody's seen it, so
Okay.
just pay it.
I'll get paid. Here's this agreement
That's a renewal of an existing contract,
for
right?
the 3 generators.
Yeah. It is a year-to-year contract we have with, Eva Par generator. They do the maintenance and yearly maintenance and on all 3 generators that we have, so. Everybody's good with that? Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept and extend the contract.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg.
I'll say it.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. And it is a 1-year term, so.
Eric, did we have it?
The 1-year term.
Getting approved.
Oh, that Eric. I was thinking of.
Eric says.
Yeah. Cemetery board appointments.
I didn't know if we had moved any farther with that or not.
No, quite honestly, I haven't, or I haven't, I mean, I don't know if anybody else has, but, while we're talking about the cemetery, we did, at our last meeting, approve to have a mower bought. The mower has been bought, the mower has been delivered, and the mower has been picked up. Scott was supposed to be bring you in an invoice for that set amount.
I don't think we've received that.
I will say this, that, we did trade one of the oldest mower in they were having all sorts of hydraulic problems with, so if I'm not mistaken, I did talk to Scott, he did give us about $1,500 for that mower off of the other ones, so, that was a good deal too, so,
Thank you for doing that, Mike.
yeah, actually, that guy, I mean, I'm amazed sometimes at how grateful people are, but I never seen a guy, I mean, I've seen my grandkids and my kids on Christmas Day, and I would have thought this guy just saw Christmas twice, I mean, he was pretty excited about it, and actually said, I'm not mowing the rest of the year with this one, I'm keeping it for next year, and he said, I'm putting it in the barn and I'll mow with the old one.
Something to look forward to next year.
I was like, okay, you do whatever you want, so, but we do need to make sure the council understands that we're asking for a raise for him and a second person, and before that mowing season, and I won't be here, but before that mowing season, we need to hire another person for him, so. And he said he's still making $11.81, so. So, but anyway, that's kind of ridiculous, but. All right, moving along, first of all, back to the cemetery board appointments, we've got 2 appointments,
This is,
and we are trying to clean that mess up, because we,
We have a proposed resolution.
yeah.
yeah, it's right here.
But I just don't know how many we got sitting right now and how many we need to,
I think you'll need,
we need John
yeah.
Robbins' spot. And, let me get with Craig or, Joe Gibson,
Okay.
and I'll find out who all the members are. I think Bill Hoagland's on there, I think he is, Joe Gibson's on there. I just need to know who's on there, and then, we all need to reach out to somebody and see if somebody wants to serve, so. And one of those people are paid, it's not much, $1,200, $1,500 a year to oversee the mowers, make sure those guys, the mowers, and make sure that they all have what they need, to continue their job. So come back to the next meeting with a name or something, we'll kinda kick them around and pick somebody. Consideration of regular special invoices.
We've got several special invoices.
I'm gonna ask a question, I know why we're doing this, but is something changed that people are asking for their money before the 30-day, or are we entering into agreements where it's immediate payment or not, or is it because council meets on a certain, one time a month and it just doesn't
There's
happen?
different things. We have some that have come forward that are new, and I think you were emailed some of those today.
Yeah,
And then, like the first one on here was the one with the EMS through the,
What's been good?
no, that's the second one, hang on. The attorney, Mr.
Engagement
Guilfoyle.
letter.
oh, go for it.
Just kinda wanted to see that one so that it's, looked at to know.
I just wanna make sure that, we're still staying in the proper procedures of,
Yeah.
you send your bill to us, we go to the regular meeting and approve it, and then it goes on to the council, cause it seems like we're circumventing that a lot and saying, okay, this guy wants his money tomorrow,
And some of that's been Kevin and the building and his building and.
I get that. I mean, some of them are special circumstances, I'm just saying that, I just wanna
We
make sure
have been
that.
doing a lot.
Okay, that one
Yeah.
is EMS, and I think Nick wants to speak on that too, but that one got lost somehow.
So this one did?
This is the one, and I've reached out, I know Zach and I have conversed over the last month or two about this. We're still getting taxed on this.
You're talking about cause they're saying we're not, okay, I went to the bank and had a face-to-face with the bank president and said, why are we getting this? He's saying that all he needs is a letter from you and you, or combination, that says that their tax, that the county's taxes in.
Giving them our tax exemption.
Not you, the county, not EMS.
It's the county's tax.
I know, but it has to come from this identity.
Wonder why he hasn't requested that from me.
I sat right in front of him and that's what he said.
Alright,
He said, we had gave it to you, and he goes, I need it from the attorney or the auditor. That's a flat out, exactly what he said, cause I wasn't very happy when I went in there, and said, I don't understand why we're not tax exempt. Well, you are, all you gotta do is do this. I don't know if it's a new policy above him or what, but that's what he told me to do.
The reason, the only reason here is, the second reason that is special is because, for some reason, they are unable to send our invoice to the correct department.
Yeah.
If you look at the address on that department, on the invoice, on the second page on the top there, it keeps getting mailed to the wrong entity, and it's been requested that it doesn't. And
Where's South First?
the jail.
Okay.
So
So is that something that this bank can correct?
I thought it was when we did it the first payment. But, so this is, I think a day late right now.
or two or three, I believe.
We've been requesting via email the invoice because we hadn't received it, and I knew it was coming up. And we got it today, so, I mean, the
All right.
money's in our account, but that's why that's.
We'll take care of that, but I'll call him tomorrow. And, tell him to get the right address. So,
We went back and looked on the first one, and it was the same way, and we requested that it was corrected. but-
can you write something up, have Zach sign it, you sign it, send it over there? And I'll call tomorrow and tell him to get the right address on this invoice, so. I'll entertain a motion to, and I'm gonna read both these. One of them is for Guilford.
There's one more before,
Go ahead, we're gonna do them all together.
okay, this is the Visitors Commission, and that was brought in, and Mandy's just like, hey, I can get that one knocked out.
Oh, I know something that's not on our agenda.
So it needs to come from them, so I'm relieved of,
No,
I'm doing it right now.
He's good, okay.
okay, so I don't need to do anything.
no.
Okay.
You can't, that's why I said I'll bring you the form. No, it has to come from somebody official. Doesn't make
I guess you're just
What's
not
more
official.
Okay.
Don't ask me.
It's literally,
You know, we've done that business, you know, I say we've done business that thing for 200 years and
I got this.
kind of weird, but anyway. Alright, I'm gonna read all three of these. One of them's for Guilfoyle Law, Office, and this was, for consultation with, some small claim stuff. And this is in the amount of $3,335.22. No, $3,356.22. I'll take the other small one over here. Roland Mini Barns, and I'm gonna say I know what this is for. This is in the amount of $4,289, and this is a 10 by 12 shed of some sort that is going to be the new Santa house for the visitors board. That is an amount, I said again, $4,289. And the last and the big one is for West Banco, and this is a payment for $42,678.53. And I believe that's for an ambulance. So I'll entertain a motion if no questions.
I have a question.
What's that?
On the Santa house, is part of that going to be used for the electronic?
Yes.
Okay,
So everything will be inside that building. They won't have to come in the courthouse, so.
yeah, good, okay.
So,
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion to accept all three special invoices. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Hey Jennifer, is that something that I can pick up and bring to them on Friday?
I think it should be yes, yes.
All right, Randy's wanting to amend the agenda. Would you hand that down?
I certainly will.
Thank you.
So I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda for Randy's request.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds, I'll make it unanimous. Go ahead.
So we had talked last time, taking $1,000 from our insured trucking fund to fund, for advertisement for the, Visitors Commission to advertise this scarecrow thing. And I don't think we ever brought it to a vote that we was gonna do that in public.
I thought we did, because you said you would find somebody that could.
They are funding it,
I know,
but
I'm just saying,
we're paying for the advertisement.
I thought we did approve that for the advertisement.
I don't know if we got all the details worked out.
Yeah,
I know we were back and forth, so I'll.
Hank, we're doing it through the Visitors Commission though, right?
we're giving the Visitors Commission $1,000 for advertisement.
Okay,
We're not entering into the contest.
okay.
That'd be fun.
You said we could not give the 1,000 away as a gift or a
Right.
contest. So,
Um,
but you said we could give the money to the visitors board.
That's right, they can
To-
accept donations.
They could accept it and use it however,
Sorry.
well, not for however.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'll entertain a motion to take $1,000 out of our, venture account towards the and give it towards the visitors board for advertising the Scott County Scarecrow Contest.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg,
I'll second.
second, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, consideration of, payroll September sixth, I know I jumped over one, but, 2024, so. Everybody had an opportunity to look at payroll,
I have,
so I'll entertain a motion to accept the payroll.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg,
Second.
Greg seconds, and I'll make that unanimous. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
entertain a motion to accept the minutes for September 4th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to accept the minutes, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg seconds it, and I'll make that unanimous. So we got a copy of the minutes to
So right
sign.
here,
Alright,
there we go.
we have an FMLA. We got multiple?
2, yeah.
Alright, we got two FMLAs that we need to consider.
Only one here.
You did look at these already, didn't you? You already looked at those?
Did you?
I looked at one. There's, Okay. I'll entertain a motion. Is it all right to put them both together? I'll entertain a motion to accept both requests, FMLA request leaves.
I'll make that motion.
Randy's made a motion, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. Somebody got anything else? Randy, you got anything?
Yeah, I did.
We'll spit it out.
You go ahead with yours first, because to be honest with you, right now, I'm trying to remember what it was.
I don't, Greg, you got anything?
Yeah, I just, like to continue, to keep Jeremy in everybody's prayers and, you know, hopefully continue to make good progress and have a speedy recovery and getting back on his feet. And I know he's family and everybody's going through a lot, but we just want them to know we're thinking of him and praying for him.
I did hear before I came in tonight that they did take him off the ventilator and he is, answering some questions. He's kinda confused, but they said they thought that they would work that out. So he went from, I guess, critical to stable anyway, so.
Good. I would ask something else. Sir, are you here to get, was you here on the agenda or, no, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Council, do you have anything?
I don't know anything.
Jennifer, you got anything?
I don't think so.
I'll never ask you, but I'm gonna ask you. Talked about the new mower. I know it wasn't on the agenda, but we already talked about that. I do know that there's rumors out there that, there's some problems with City Hall purchase that we're going through, but had a phone call late today with the mayor, and he says that it's still progressing, so we're still in good shape there. I think actually, I was gonna tell you that I think they need an appraisal now, so.
I have an update, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
talk about it at this time.
That's good. But I just want people to know that they question me sometimes. Hey, where we're at with that? It's moving along. It's just, it's a lot slower than we anticipated, but we're moving. Again, same thing Greg said about Jeremy. I've known Jeremy, all his life and, been very concerned, you know, several years over Jeremy's health, and he and I have had that conversation a long time, and hopefully, you know, this, he gets a good turn on this and we can make that change, so, I know there's probably something else, when I walk out of here, there'll be something, but what you got, Randy?
It's going,
Huh?
it's going.
You sat too close to the auditor, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll,
Something jarred my memory we was talking about, and I was gonna ask it, a question about it. But I can't remember what it is now.
anyway. I don't know anything
And thank
else
you
on
for
it.
bringing that up, Greg, about Jeremy.
Yeah.
Keep it in
I'll
my
enter-
prayers.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg,
Second.
second, so I'll make it unanimous.